video is going to focus on the basics of survival tactics. I'm going to be doing so with a very small gear set here, and what I'm using is a poncho, a collapsible water bladder, you can use a canteen, flashlight, pen and paper, a pocket knife, and two disposable lighters, which all you need is two sources of fire, whether it be lighters or the magnesium fire starters or matches, whatever. You only need two. Now, this is a very basic, small survival course. It's going to rely a lot on scavenging and everything else. Some of the techniques I'm going to show here as far as stealth techniques go are going to be used primarily in an urban setting, just to demonstrate that survival techniques can be executed in an urban setting. I might get into some basic foraging, herbal medicine, and like edible plants in the survival portion of this video. So probably multiple videos, so bear with me. Those familiar with Ninjitsu, specifically the cartoon Naruto, kunai are not throwing daggers. They're a multi-purpose tool. One of the uses for them is digging. In this case, I don't have any kunai. I'm going to use a simple knife. Now, the first thing you want to do is take the area of ground that you want to remove and make a tracing of where you plan to remove it. Which happens to be this whole little plant here. Now, my goal is to dig this plant out, to cut it away from roots and everything else, and I don't want to really disturb the ground a whole hell of a lot. There's reasons for this, which happens to be focused around stealth. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to pull this plant up, or at least try to, in a way that I can place it back. There we go. Now, I should also point out, you can also eat grub worms, so if I find one, maybe don't get disgusted. Now, what happens is, once I pull said little plant up, I'm going to place it off to the side. And I'm just going to have to keep digging. One of the things you'll notice out here happens to be a small little root, which I'm going to cut. Make room for my little fire pit. Now, what happens is, like I said, I'm digging this out. And I'm not going to dig it out all the way, but I'm going to dig it out enough for you to see exactly what I'm talking about. And as you can tell, since I flipped this around, I have a small hole where I'm going to build a small fire. And, well, I should point out, if you notice, when you get into the subject of camouflage, dirt doesn't really stain your hands, but it does offer a different tint by getting into the cracks and pores of your hands. So you can actually use this dirt as a form of camouflage face paint, if you will. But anyways, back to what I'm saying. I'll essentially start my little fire here. Now, I don't have anything dry to do it with, and all I have is paper. So I'm not actually going to start the fire. But what will happen is I'll start my fire here. And then once I get the fire good and burning and hot, I'll throw a little bit of wood on it, small pieces, to get some embers going. Once those embers are going and burning nice and fine, I'll pretty much just cover it back up with dirt, or more specifically, the plant that I had pulled out of here. Now, what happens is, once that plant is put back in place to cover this up, the fire's going to go out, but the heat's going to remain. So then, all that happens is, once the fire gets going, I'm going to stuff this little plant right here on top of it. And, as you can tell, it blends in somewhat. And then all that I need to do after I do that is set down here on the plant, or in fact I can do so without actually disturbing the plant life too much, by folding my legs around it, such as this, kind of Indian style, and pulling my rain poncho over top of it. Now, the heat will travel up my legs and under said rain poncho, and I get to sit here nice and relatively cozy while I'm being warmed up. This gives me a chance to go to sleep, and then once I'm, of course, asleep, rested up enough to keep going, I simply get up, remove my rain poncho, and go. That's it. Simple, direct, straightforward. Basic ninjitsu. Voila, refluff the grass, and it conceals part of my trace.